Welcome to RoXolid Productions, where in this video we're going to review the Gamerz Tek 16-bit HD Super NES and Super Famicom clone entertainment system. Hey everyone, Gary here with RoXolid Productions, and I'm really excited to bring you this video today. I have been, as you've seen on the channel before, I've really liked the previous consoles from Gamerz Tek that I've played. So when they announced their 16-bit HD, I was geeked. When I was, a teenager, I remember, man, I sounded old there, but when I was younger, I remember eagerly waiting for the follow-up to my favorite gaming system at the time, the Nintendo Entertainment System, with this bad boy here, the Super Nintendo Entertainment System. 16-bit glory, awesome sound, not just Mode 6, but Mode 7 graphics, and it didn't need to use blast processing to rock. I know a lot of people weren't thrilled with the design of the US version. They wish we would have gotten the Asian or the European model, but this will always be my favorite game console of all time. Nothing else has matched it. And one of the reasons why I love this system so much is because of the catalog of games. From Super Mario World to F-Zero, Super Street Fighter, one of the hardest games ever, Super Star Wars. This system has an exceptional library of games. The problem is it's hard to connect this to a flat panel modern day TV because you're stuck with either the AV output, which would be your RCA jacks, or an RF jack. Now you can have this modded for RGB, but it tends to be a little bit expensive. Now there is HD Retrovision has their cables that they offer for this, which are really cool. I just haven't had a chance to get my hands on a set of those yet. But what the cool thing is now is Gamerz Tek has come out with their 16-bit HD system here, and as you can see, it draws inspiration in the design of the US version of the Super NES system, but it does a lot under the hood. First of all, make sure that you check out our unboxing video up there. It covers a lot of the information as far as what it comes with, the features, 16:9, 4:3, the controllers, all that is in our unboxing. Again, you can find right up there. The great thing about it is the fact that it has an HDMI port right on the back, so you can connect it to today's modern flat panel TVs, and you don't have to use one of these pieces of trash that, again, if you watch this channel for any time, you know I am not a fan of. So what we're going to do is I've got a pile of games we're going to throw in, and I'm actually going to do some A/B video footage too to see if you can figure out if I'm showing you footage of the 16-bit HD or the Super NES Classic Edition. And one final difference between this system and that system there is the fact, yes, this comes preloaded with 21 games, comes with 2 controllers. This comes with 2 controllers, has an HDMI output, The problem is, if I ever want to, say, grab my copy of Turtles in Time, yeah, I'm stuck with the 21 games that it came preloaded with. Yes, there are developers working on versions of Hack-Chi so that you can put more ROMs on here, but if I want to play my actual cartridges, that's where something like this comes in handy. So let's sit down and let's get some game playing in. Alright, we're going to start off with some Super Star Wars for the Super NES. And I am using the stock controller. So far in my initial playthroughs, I actually really like it. It's very comfortable, and quite honestly, if blind taste test wise, except for the start and select buttons, I probably couldn't tell the difference between the stock Super NES controller and this one. It's really comfortable. Super Star Wars, very challenging game. Here's the thing that I find funny now is, I mean, we all accept the fact that the way in Star Wars has gone, that, what we thought of was Episode 4, or what we thought of as Star Wars, is now A New Hope. So the fact that even back when this was created in the late 80s, early 90s, we were still operating under the narrative that Star Wars was not A New Hope, it was just Star Wars. probably one of the hardest games I have ever beaten. This game is really noted for being incredibly difficult. A little odd too, because I don't remember Luke ever fighting gremlins in the desert on Tatooine. Great soundtrack on here, great graphics. I absolutely love it, but like I say, brutally hard. As of yet, Luke has not gotten his lightsaber, but oh! Again, things that I don't remember from the movies are showing up in here. You know, giant scorpions, which, you know, Luke fought a bunch of those, right? Yeah, not so much. But Super Star Wars? Actually, I'm just going to start calling this Super A New Hope. Plays and looks great, so let us pause and let's go to the next one. Up next, one of my favorite beat-em-ups of all time, and I am thrilled that I finally own a copy thanks to the guys over at Live Action Games in Champaign, Illinois, that they actually had copies of TMNT 4 Turtles in Time. One thing that I've noticed really early on here, so in some of the NES clones, the audio seemed off. Check my reviews up there for that. Audio, video, I mean, this all seems spot on. I mean, I'm not hearing anything different. I'm not seeing any, you know, weird artifacting. Nothing looks blown out of proportion. I mean, it looks great. You know, I'm not going to wait to the end. Yes, you need to buy yourself one of these guys. Oh, I love doing that. Between that and throwing the guys back and forth and kind of beating the tar out of them that way. Now, I didn't doubt really that, there we go. I love doing that. You know, with the Super NES clone consoles that they've had to now, you really haven't had the compatibility issues like with some of the NES clones. Man, TMNT 4 still looks great, still sounds great. Get him, Mikey. No! Great game again, TMNT 4. Works perfectly. Now what I want to do is I want to put in a game, or I'm going to connect my Super NES Classic Edition. Not going to tell you which. I want you guys to see which you think is which. Don't worry, I'll let you off the hook pretty shortly. Of course, we need to test out Star Fox, but which is which? Which one of these videos is the Super NES Classic Edition, and which one is the 16-bit HD from Gamerz Tek? You can't tell, can you? It looks that good. Here's which is which. Did you guess right? Yep, maybe, maybe not. But let's see if Star Fox plays properly. We're going to go down. Again, I prefer Control B. We're going to go to the main game. Now, the important thing about getting Star Fox working is the fact that it does include the Super FX chip, and that may have caused some compatibility issues with other systems back in the day. The 16-bit HD, not an issue with it whatsoever. Now, before we get too far into this game, what I'm going to do too is I'm actually going to pause it in a second. I'm going to plug in my Super NES Advantage because this has Turbo Fire on it. So we're going to grab this controller and we'll pause here in a moment. I probably could have just plugged it in this point in time, but there we go. And this joystick, not as well known as the predecessor, the NES Advantage, and this here was actually not made by Nintendo, it was licensed by Nintendo. So, I want Turbo on B. Gotta get through the gates. No, no, no. Oh, I think I missed it. Yep, confirmed I missed that gate. Helps if I actually hit the turbo button. Yeah, both the Super NES Advantage, the Turbo Fire, and Star Fox works great on the 16-bit HD. Now, one thing, I have not used this joystick a whole lot, so it's not quite as comfortable as it could be. Just, I don't remember off the top of my head where all the button placements are. But yes, Star Fox works great. We're going to unplug the Super NES Advantage. We're going to test you one more time. We're going to throw in some Super Mario World, but here's the unique thing, is the cartridge that I have for Super Mario World is actually the Super Famicom version. So let's see if you can figure out which is which. So again, which is which here? Some of you may be able to tell by the trademark and copyright on screen which is which. But looking at it graphically beyond that, can you tell which is which? Well, I'll give you a hint. That's the Famicom or Super Famicom cartridge. It's probably my favorite Mario game of all time. Absolutely love it. Now, this is one of the only games that I've played on the 16-bit HD so far. This actually looks a little bit dark to me. It could just be my TV, but this one does look a little bit dark. Now, granted, playing like Star Fox, you're on a darker background with the star field anyways. And a successful landing. Again, the coins sound spot on. The graphics look super sharp. The pixels for Mario looks great. I actually did a live stream recently. If you haven't checked it out, make sure that you check it out on the channel, where we played probably about an hour worth of Super Mario World. The blues look super sharp, very vibrant. The controls, I mean, super responsive, because if you have any lag or latency in your controller system, especially in this part here, it's going to show up because you won't be able to float as much with Mario. But that's pretty much the same way that it goes for me on my actual Super NES from Nintendo, my original 16-bit system. And sorry to disappoint, but the 16-bit HD does not have blast processing. It doesn't need it. Super Mario World works great. Now, and again, that is the Super Famicom version of it. One of the reasons why I have the Super Famicom version versus the American version, it's just cheaper. If you go onto eBay and secondhand reselling sites, the Super Famicom version of games are generally a lot cheaper. So, for example, this was Stunt Race FX here in the US. I think it goes for about $20, $25 on eBay. I got my copy, the Super Famicom version, for $9.99 at Live Action Games. You know what? Let's see how this one looks. All right, Wild Tracks FX, or as we knew it here in the US, Stunt Race FX, is another Super FX chip game. Came out late in the life cycle of the Super NES. I think of it kind of like Cars before Cars was a thing. I'm going to take the monster truck, and don't care about the name. And we're going to just take the novice track. So one of the unique things on this game is the fact that they actually added this border around the main play screen, which I don't know if it reduced the amount of... Whoa, hello! Got off of the line very good there. I was using the turbo. You know, by having that border, you don't need to have as many active polygons on screen. Unique take kind of on the kart racing game genre. Like I mentioned, this did come out late in the life cycle of the Super NES, and it did rely on, you know, the Super FX chip to kind of do some of the polygon drawing that you see here. Much like Super Mario Kart, but not to the same extent as the original Super Mario Kart, you can use the L and R buttons to kind of slide around, power slide around corners. There's also a turbo boost feature. That is the blue orbs there. Oh, missed that one. That was the, to pick up more turbo. On this pink one, you can actually take damage in this game. So if you get too much damage, you actually blow up and you don't get to finish that track. So about halfway down, lap and a half down, lap and a half to go, drivers. And we have the four-wheel drive monster truck in the lead. Second place, I think, is the kind of IndyCar, Formula One car looking thing. And there's if you take damage, that's the pink one that you kind of take. Going boogieing down the front straightaway at 198 miles an hour. Picking up a little bit more turbo there. Just a really fun racing game, and I think really underrated. I don't think most people even realize or remember this game. This is another one, like I say, too, that I picked up locally from Live Action Games, but you can find online too. This is the Famicom, I'm sorry, the Super Famicom version. Another site too that you'll want to check out. Make sure if you haven't done so, check out CastlemaniaGames.com. Use promo code ROX10. You can save 10% off your next purchase. So yeah, that is Wild Tracks FX. Now, one of the things about the Super Nintendo is it actually came out with this accessory here. This is the Super Game Boy player that would allow you to play your Game Boy games right through your Super NES. And I'm going to give you just a quick peek at two of them. We're going to throw in Kirby's Dream Land and Donkey Kong Land, because Donkey Kong Land was actually optimized for the Game Boy Color and the Super Game Boy. So let's see how these guys look. So we'll start off here with Kirby's Dream Land, and as you can see, the Super Game Boy and everything looks great on screen. The audio sounds a little distorted to me, however. Don't know if it's just me or not. There's how you can flutter. Just press the up D-pad. B button will suck in enemies, and then you jump with A. Looks like B and Y mimic each other. L and R don't do anything, and you can't jump when you've got something in your mouth. Yeah, this definitely sounds distorted to me. Kind of like the volume is a little bit too high. Oh, I took damage. So Kirby's Dream Land, I mean, it looks good. It's got a little bit of color to it. Unlike just the 47 different shades of, it's not 47, but the shades of green that you would normally get on a traditional Game Boy handheld player. And one more and we should beat this guy. There we go. Looks good. Like I say, audio sounds a little bit off. But we're going to pop this out and we're going to try Donkey Kong Land. So here again you have the Super Game Boy kind of outline, but if you see it fades away because this game was designed specifically with the Super Game Boy in mind. So you get more of a full screen sort of feel. Although the game itself has its more traditional color palette, at least on that screen. Let's see if I... It's amazing to think what they were able to do with the original Game Boy, especially considering the fact that, yes, it was an 8-bit system like the NES, but it was nowhere near as powerful. Oh, I died. Let's try that again. Now this one does not sound nearly as distorted to me as Kirby did, so it could be just that game. It could be that with some of the optimization that they did for Donkey Kong Land on the Super Game Boy, that they kind of kept in mind that they needed to tweak the audio or do something with the audio. Oh, I missed the jump. Well, there you can see it plays. It's time for some final thoughts. As you can see, the Gamerz Tek 16-bit HD, it's awesome. It played everything that I threw at it, including Super Game Boy games. Now, I say it played everything, yeah, not quite. So I did try, Retro-bit has their Retroport and RetroGen adapters. These require you to connect a separate AV cable right into the adapter and then go into your television to be able to watch, you know, your gameplay footage of either of these. Because of the way these adapters work, they do not work with the 16-bit HD. But I don't know many people that are going to be worried about that, especially since if you like this system, and if you haven't done so, check out our 8-bit HD review right there. Gamerz Tek is coming out with a 16-bit, 8-bit HD 2-in-1 that will be shipping in November of 2017. And one of the cool things about it is the fact that it has your controller ports on the front and the side for both Super NES style controllers and NES style controllers. So great system. Look for us to do a review of that one here on the channel as well. I do want to thank Gamerz Tek. We did pay for the system ourselves, but Gamerz Tek did us a solid and they sent us our review unit a little bit early. They kind of moved us to the front of the line once we pre-ordered. Thank you to the guys and gals over at Gamerz Tek for helping us out be able to get our review unit a little bit earlier too. If you are looking for a 16-bit Super NES clone, if you're having a hard time getting your hands on the Super NES Classic Edition, or if you just want to be able to play your classic cartridges and not put additional wear and tear on your original Super NES or Super Famicom, this is a great way to do it. And again, it'll also play Super Famicom games, which a lot of times you can find at a cheaper price than you can with your US counterpart. So strongly, hell, I love the 16-bit HD. It is a great system and I highly recommend that you pick one up. But that's just my opinion. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. We do read each and every comment. We respond to all of them. You can also send us an email at roxsolidmail@gmail.com. Hit us up on Twitter too with any questions that you might have. We're very active on Twitter. You can visit us on our Facebook page at facebook.com/RoXolidProductions. And don't forget to subscribe. That way you're kept up to date when we do come out with new and interesting videos, such as our review that we are currently working on for the Yoke wireless controller for the Super NES Classic Edition, and we're going to show you how to mount your controller dongle inside the system so that you hide any controller ports and you kind of keep the, not the facade, well, I guess it would be a facade where you don't have anything hanging out of the front of them. We're working on that right now. Again, make sure that you do subscribe so that you can stay up to date on all that. Finally, if you want to help contribute to the show, you can do so just like Eric Jordan by visiting our Patreon page, patreon.com/RoXolid. For as little as $1 a month, you too can contribute to the future of RoXolid Productions. So again, the 16-bit HD from Gamerz Tek, outstanding piece of hardware. I thank you for watching, and we'll see you soon.